Bonjour YouTube. Ah bah c'est parti, on continue nos aventures dans Vampyr. On va remettre du son. Alors, c'est là. Tac. Et on allait donc trouver et interroger Darius Petrescu. Putain, il inspire confiance le mec, hein. Bien. La safe house est sur la droite là, juste avant le... Peut-être y aller par là, hein. Probablement. S'épargner quelques emmerdements par la même occasion.
Stop it now, Albert! Stop it! I won't end up another drunk arsehole. Not me. Me? I'll not die in some piss-stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Are you all right?
The bastard hit the wall next to me. I don't even know if he meant to miss.
If you've been hurt, I can help you. I'm a doctor.
Name's Albert. Remember it. Now bugger off.
What happened? Did you really steal that man's medication?
Hey, I didn't do anything. It ain't me.
Medication and drugs are a rare commodity in East London. So you picked an easy target, didn't you?
Sod off, mister. You ain't got no clue what's going on here. Bastard was a soldier in the war, so now he's got the right to shoot me.
It's true. I'm not familiar with this part of town. Perhaps you could help me.
I said sod off. Go find yourself another guide.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? If you know anything about her, I'd appreciate it.
Never heard of her. If she's pretty, I'll keep an eye out.
I found the recruiter you were expecting. He's dead, but he carried a note. The Wet Boot Boys have accepted your application.
I knew it! I told you I was tough enough. I'll be free soon.
You're being manipulated by these criminals. What's worse is that you're clever enough to know better.
You're all fancy words, none of which concern me. Go worry about someone else. I'm fine and I have a future here.
Goodbye, young man.
I won't end up another drunk arsehole littering the streets.
You wasted
Not me.
your life away. What?
Shooting a boy in the middle of the street. Not the best thing to do, wouldn't you say?
What? You saw what happened? Who are you?
I'm Dr. Reed, and I'd like to ask you a few questions, if you promise me to set your gun aside.
No. Look, I'm not a violent man. I'm Benjamin Palmer, doctor. And no one can help me. Not even you.
What can you tell me about this place?
Nothing to say, really. This is where I used to live, and this is where I live now.
You mean you used to have a better life?
Yeah, I had a wife, a home, and a job. I even used to have a name. And now I'm just Ben. Ben the Tramp.
You don't have anywhere to go? No family that would welcome you?
Not since the death of my wife, Albert's mother. She was sick, you see. Long before the flu and all this shit.
Perhaps you could focus for a moment and tell me your troubles.
I'm sick, broke, and my son just stole my pills. Everything's coming up roses.
Whatever the boy did, I'm sure he didn't deserve a public execution.
I swear I didn't want to hit him. It's just that I'm sick in the head, you see, and the boy just frayed me last nerve.
What is it, Benjamin? It was the war, wasn't it? Your nerves are shot, aren't they? I need some answers, Private. From one soldier to another.
The doctors called me a liar, a coward. Put me in a straitjacket, locked me up. Finally, they sent me back to the front lines with a handful of tablets.
It's a pity that doctors still practice such barbaric methods. It's a dishonor to our profession.
Now only the pills stop me thinking about this shit. To not hear the explosions. I'm even scared of the dark these days.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? Have you heard anything?
It's funny, I've been searching for her too. I need some pills. But the woman is a phantom, if you ask me.
Really? And why is that?
Word is she ain't real. It's just a cover for some doctor who runs an illegal dispensary for migrants.
A gun, alcohol, and a bad temper make a terrible cocktail, sir. Goodbye for now. How are you?
I'm not your...
Y a rien de neuf.
Goodbye, young man.
I'll not die in some... piss stinking alley reeking worse than a week-old lavvy.
Someday you'll understand. You wasted your life away.
When science fails you.
Good evening, miss.
Good evening, sir. Are you interested in a miraculous cure for this unknown and deadly epidemic?
Actually, I am.
Then you have come to the right place. The famous Swanborough cordial is all you need to help keep you in perfect health.
Oh, really? Why didn't I hear about it during my studies? I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way. Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Ah, my brother has spoken of your research, sir. I'm Loretta Swanborough, and it's always a pleasure to meet a fellow healer.
Tell me, who intrigues you most in Whitechapel?
The region itself is something to see, but I would say Camellia the mute florist who gives away her flowers.
What do you think of the locals?
Most of them are afraid or desperate. They all come to me eventually for my remedy.
Is there anyone I should avoid?
Cadogan Bates, without a doubt. The bloody bastard remorselessly
C'est le mec
exploits
que j'ai
poor
sauvé
migrants as soon
dans
as they get here.
Bestial tout à l'heure, ça. Enfin, tout à l'heure, la vidéo précédente.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like to talk about competition.
Competition, you say?
Never met her, but it seems she provides some sort of medical care to the poor. The whole thing has to be some sort of scam, if you ask me.
I'd like to see what kind of medicine you're selling.
ça peut être recyclé en composant, mais est-ce qu'on chope une recette avec cette merde? Je vais le tenter. En plus, il y a une sofa juste à côté. Alors, elle est où exactement?
Sort of bloody joke to you, innit?
Ça a l'air d'être par là. Il y a des traces de sang. C'est là-haut, là-bas. Un mec dans la baraque, là.
I cannot enter.
On va essayer de passer par l'autre côté. Je pense que c'était accessible de l'autre côté. Il y avait un échafaudage, je crois, je sais plus où c'était. Voilà, non, peut-être pas y aller par là non plus. Il y a une porte ici, on va rentrer, voir. On va bien quand même pouvoir rentrer dans la safe house. Alors. donc on refuse. Il y a 2 entrées en fait, j'aurais pu faire juste le tour et c'était bon. Alors. Bien. Pneumonie ou bronchite. Il va m'en manquer un là et de toute façon là j'ai pas assez, ouais, sur... Donc c'est l'un ou l'autre. Traitement pour la bronchite ou la pneumonie, on va faire la bronchite. Ah putain, il m'en manque toujours un, c'est pénible. Ah bah on a pas le droit de pas le faire. Hein. Et ensuite, soit augmenter les dégâts ou encore le temps de rechargement. On va me réduire le temps de rechargement. Quoique les dégâts, ça fait mon voyage. Tac. Et après, on aura le choix entre 3. Ah, ouais. Donc en fait, je vais pouvoir choisir entre soit pour les... L'idée c'est de avoir 2 flingues, hein, mais pour les vampires et l'autre pour les humains. Et le dernier niveau, tu auras 5 points d'impact. C'est pas mal tout ça. Hein. Ok. Bien. Pour l'instant, j'ai rien d'autre. Je vais pas dormir parce que 590, y a pas de raison de le faire. Hop là. C'est la deuxième fois qu'il me met un truc et que je peux pas le... Dépendance au sang, ça s'appelait. Ah, la pétition, elle est là, voilà. Monsieur Betts doit cesser, des mois, voire des années durant, Cadelian Betts nous a exploité. Monsieur Betts doit cesser, si nous avions plus d'argent ou un travail digne de ce nom, jamais nous ne louerions ces appartements au loyer exorbitant. Monsieur Betts doit cesser, nous savons tous quel genre de solution révoltante il propose aux femmes qui ne peuvent pas les payer leur loyer hebdomadaire. Et ben c'est du propre. Monsieur Betts doit cesser, allons le voir tous ensemble bientôt. Et exigeons un changement immédiat. Alors, les vampires boivent du sang, c'est probablement leur caractéristique intrinsèque, la définition morbide de leurs conditions si je puis dire. Cependant, ce n'est pas pour moi l'aspect le plus important de leur régime alimentaire. Ce qui me fascine depuis que je les étudie, c'est l'impérieuse soif de sang qu'ils semblent ressentir. Ils veulent plus que tout obtenir ce fluide et leur désir peut même les conduire à se révéler au grand jour. Et lorsqu'ils le boivent, on dirait qu'ils entrent dans un bref état de transe. C'est une révélation extatique, m'a un jour dit Vulcode que j'avais interrogé à Moscou. Je suis convaincu que c'est un élément essentiel pour comprendre la condition des vampires. Ils ne boivent pas du sang pour se nourrir, mais pour l'extase qu'ils procurent. Les vampires présentent donc clairement une dépendance au sang. Tous sans exception, cela fait partie de leur nature, et même ceux qui parmi les immortels refusent de se soumettre à leur soif et y résistent par la force de leur volonté ne seront jamais délivrés de cette dépendance. Issu de La Nuit dévoilée par Usher Toltry, primat de la confrérie de l'étoile de Saint-Paul. Table marre de sang. Et là on ressort dehors. Je vais ressortir par là. Voilà. Manifestement l'autre... Ah mais non, mais je suis très con, j'ai pas déverrouillé la porte qui mène dehors et qui est un accès rapide. Je vais backdasher. Je vais quand même regarder ce qui se passe là. Voilà, j'arrive ici, ok. On va backdasher. Bien. Donc nous on va là, sur la gauche là. Ok. Ah, il y a le prêtre et tout. Bon, je viendrai là après parce que manifestement, il y a... Je vais d'abord aller faire ce pourquoi je suis venu. Alors... Ça doit être lui. Oui, ça doit être lui.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
To enter that house, I must discover who this man really is. Maybe I could start by observing what he's up to. It's locked.
Évidemment. On va accéder par là.
When science fails.
Nobody at home. It's locked, all right.
C'est barré. Ouais, tout bêtement, d'accord.
A strange man was at the door with a pass for our medical facility. I refused him entry.
Darius, how could you know he didn't need our help?
His clothes were too finely tailored to be for Whitechapel.
Perhaps just a friend of that stray poet who is always about.
Richard Nethercott? No, not of the same cloth, this man. I suspect some machination from that journalist.
Clayton Darby. Is he still asking questions?
Yes. I saw him drifting around St. Mary's Church. I swear he is tracking me just downwind.
Intéressant.
I must talk to that journalist or the poet. They must know about Darius. Nearby the church they just mentioned.
Bien.
Money. Come on, Barrett, you know the game. You pay for peace of mind. Welcome, sir. Please, take a browse of my wares.
I'm Dr. Reed. I would like to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Doctor? Interesting. I'm Barrett Lewis. Usually I don't have time to waste with talk, but at this hour of the night I can hardly refuse.
Right then. Show me what you have.
Pile poil. Parfait.
Fancy buying something?
You never... How is business around here?
Business? I have no business. Between this racket, theft, and customers getting scared, I'm losing money every day.
I see. Sounds like you blame someone in particular for your situation.
It's no secret Joe Peterson spends his time harassing merchants. But with me, he's trying to put me out of business once and for all.
As a merchant, you see Whitechapel every day. Have you noticed anything out of the ordinary recently?
Well, you mean besides the epidemic, the war, and all the usual crap? As long as I can remember, this part of town has been a bottomless pit, and no sign of the bottom yet.
Violence is increasing in the borough.
Yeah. A few nights ago, some blokes jumped me. Came out of one of the condemned workshops. Fever, madness, something like that.
Where did this happen? Why did you go there?
In the closed workshops nearby. I worked there as an apprentice in better days. Now I only go to find trinkets or tools. Too bad I was mugged, though. There was good money in that little box of loot I lost.
Have you been hurt?
No, but that's only because I ran like hell. Those men were raving lunatics, I tell you. Not even able to speak anymore, just screaming.
Have you heard of a nurse?
Nurse Crane? So the bitch really is a nurse, then? I always thought she was just some crafty foreigner, that one.
Genre, c'est de la faute des immigrés.
Yes, she's a nurse, and quite a good one. What did she do to gain such notoriety?
Dorothy Crane ain't even a real name. Something like Dorothea Craniu. Something like that. Came to England fleeing the war, I was told.
That doesn't explain why she irritates you so much.
Your precious Nurse Crane gives away medical supplies and prescriptions for free. I offered to sell it for a fair cut, but no. Miss Crane wanted to play the quiet saint.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Luke. Excuse me, sir. I have a few questions for you.
Another journalist? I didn't answer the first one, so piss off!
I'm not a journalist, I'm a doctor.
A doctor, you say? It's quite a rare breed in this part of town.
Really? But still, here I am. Dr. Jonathan Reed, at your service.
I'm Joe Peterson's son.
Il y a un truc
A colossus joke at most. And I don't remember asking for your service, sir.
Tout ça, mais ils ont fait l'effort de faire un visage différent et reconnaissable à tous les PNJ, et unique surtout. Et c'est pas si souvent, mais derrière en général, c'est juste des caractères création de random, quoi. C'est hop, au hasard, bim bim, et puis ça fera le taf, quoi. Y a qu'à voir Mass Effect Andromeda à ce niveau-là. Mais eux, au moins, ils ont fait ils ont quand même fait cet effort-là, même si, bon, évidemment, les animations, c'est pas dingue, mais bon, ils ont quand même fait l'effort de... C'est à signaler.
May I ask what you do around here?
I do whatever I want, and sometimes even more. Now sod off.
According to you, physicians are scarce in this part of town. Why is that?
Not familiar with this neighborhood, are you? I guess your fancy colleagues are too afraid of being stabbed in the back.
This part of town does have quite a reputation. Would you say it's justified?
Totally. Look at me, for instance. I always look my opponent in the eye before knocking him out.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
Most people don't become thugs when unemployed. This is a choice you made.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Have you heard of a nurse named Dorothy Crane? She's a colleague of mine, and is supposed to live around here.
Dorothy Crane? Yeah, I know her. One of the few good souls who dare to help the sick around here.
Could you please tell me more about her?
She's a nice girl. Tries to help the migrants. I offered to give her a hand, but she said my reputation would attract too much attention.
Goodbye, Mr.
Une baraque là.
Hello, young man. I'm Dr. Reed, and I would like to ask you a few questions. May I enter, please?
Sorry, no, sir. My father does not like people entering our house, you see.
Your father is worried about you, boy. He asked me to look for you.
So my father actually worries about me then? Okay then. Come on in. I'm Harry, by the way. Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
Excuse, hein, je vais déjà looter ta maison avant de te parler. Y'a pas grand chose, c'est décevant. Hein.
It's locked, all right.
Les chasseurs de vampires professionnels. Si jamais vous soupçonnez quelqu'un d'être un vampire, n'essayez pas de le tuer vous-même, vous n'avez aucune chance. Contactez-moi plutôt ou essayez de signaler un tueur de vampires professionnel. Ces hommes et ces femmes se font rares, mais ils savent quoi faire contre les créatures maléfiques. Il semblerait même que certains d'entre eux travaillent ensemble, sous le nom de Garde de Priwen, une organisation paramilitaire qui se consacre à l'éradication des vampires de Londres. Ce sont vos amis. Vous n'êtes pas seul, il existe des solutions. Agissez intelligemment, faites passer le message, c'est notre projet. Clarence Crossley, pour plus d'informations, veuillez me contacter en personne. Cher Monsieur Peterson, il est de mon devoir de vous informer que votre candidature pour un poste doc a été refusée. Je tiens à vous remercier d'avoir pris le temps de nous rendre visite pour nous expliquer les difficultés de votre situation entre la perte de votre femme et votre fils malade, mais je dois m'en tenir aux règles de votre entreprise qui interdisent formellement d'employer d'anciens détenus ou criminels. Vos liens malencontreux avec les tristement célèbres Woodwood Boys nous ont été rapportés. Les temps sont durs, comme vous le savez, et Finch et Harper comptent bien d'abord récompensés par un emploi, les candidats dont la réputation est sans tâche. Sachez que vous avez toute ma compassion et puisse Dieu être avec vous et votre famille.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered. What could be worse?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
I'm sure your father did his best when he found this house. Times are tough for everyone, young man.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. But I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reed. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Would it ease tensions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
I can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities. But I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reed. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my
mais
place.
lui, il va se foutre en l'air, hein. Il va pas bien, hein. Je vais le soigner.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
Oh, t'es juste une feignasse.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Goodbye, young man.
Even my dreams are soaked with glue.
You again? What do you want this time?
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now. And people won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak. And there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else. Whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Cheap price, good quality. Fancy bar.
You never... Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I'd known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. But these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
It's never easy to find a new path in life, especially after the loss of a loved one. But crime is certainly not the best option.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
What do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Have you heard of... Yes.
Dorothy...
That...
Your precious...
Goodbye for now.
I'm cheap and I'm clean, I promise. Don't be shy, handsome. What can Christina do for you?
I'm not looking for what you're selling. But I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may. I'm a doctor. Dr. Reed.
All right then, but be quick. Though I usually get paid when I open my mouth.
Christina, have you been examined? The epidemic is spreading fast in London, and you could be exposed, or expose others.
I don't like doctors or hospitals, but I don't like you asking questions.
Considering your line of work, I assure you it is only a matter of time before you have health issues.
If it is going to happen, it will happen. Right now, I need money. That's what's important.
You can put your own life in danger, that's your decision. But what about your clients? If you're contaminated, you will put them in danger too.
And you think that would worry me? If you knew the men I deal with, their health would not be what you'd worry about.
Tell me about yourself.
Are you joking with me? People don't usually come to see me for conversation.
I have no interest in your work. I am, however, curious as to what led you into this career.
Short story. The war, exile, and England. This country is not especially welcoming. I've been refused many jobs because of where I am from. I had few options left.
Many people must deal with poverty, but not all choose to sell their bodies. That was your decision.
And when exactly was the last time you looked for a job? Or worried about the rent, or what, or when you were going to eat?
Goodbye, miss.
Excuse me, sir. Are you familiar with this part of town? Name's Clayton Darby, reporter.
Sorry, I'm new to Whitechapel. But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reed.
Dr. Reed, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
It's a disgrace. People are left to die alone. No one is properly informed of the risks.
These are bad times indeed. So much for the glorious British Empire.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth. I saw many reporters do the same during the war.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
Christina Popper claims she sells her body because she can't find any other work. Do you believe her?
Of course I do. Her story is exactly what I want my readers to understand. We live in an intolerant and divided nation.
Do you think things will ever change, Mr. Darby?
I believe the situation can only improve. And now that women can vote, I'm convinced things will change.
I heard you're investigating an underground medical dispensary in Whitechapel. What do you know about it?
Not much, I'm afraid. They are wary of strangers, and I'm not really an acquaintance of theirs. Why do you care?
I'm a doctor, Mr. Darby. I care about everything involving public health and this epidemic.
Are you sure you're not just concerned about the repercussions that a scandal involving a certain Nurse Crane from the Pembroke Hospital would bring?
Without a doubt, you are a damn fine journalist, Mr. Darby. What do you know of her accomplice, a man named Darius?
I don't know much about the man. He's very cautious, never goes out, doesn't seem to have any friends or family.
He has no relatives at all?
No, except for that strange man, a poet named Richard Nethercott, who sometimes comes by. Darius would never let him in.
Where can I find this Mr. Nethercott?
He spends most of his time lurking around Whitechapel, talking to himself or declaring verses. These days, you can usually find him behind the church.
He never goes out?
No. A few days ago, he unexpectedly did. I followed him, but it was just a ruse to keep me away from his house.
Really? How do you know?
He went to the nearest mailbox, but just before posting his letter, he ripped it up and threw it away.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Voilà, un de moins. Et ça fait déjà 55 minutes qu'on enregistre. Du coup, on va s'arrêter là pour cet épisode. Finalement, cette enquête nous emmène de découverte en découverte. Bon, il n'y a pas trop de fil conducteur à tous ces trucs-là. C'est plus ou moins entremêlé avec avec chaque quête, mais bon, ça reste assez décousu, même si c'est pas inintéressant. En tout cas, ça met en lumière des problèmes assez sérieux, et du coup, c'est sympa de voir ce genre de thématiques traitées dans un jeu. En tout cas, le système de dialogue est pas mal foutu, le système d'indices pour pouvoir débloquer des dialogues supplémentaires et faire avancer les histoires des NPC, c'est sympa, c'est super mécanique par contre. C'est vraiment... c'est mathématique quasiment, donc c'est pas très... c'est pas basé sur l'intuition ou quoi que ce soit, mais bon, ça reste... C'est un effort à saluer quand même. Ça pourrait être plus organique, voilà. On sent quand même que c'est très rigide. Rigide, c'est vraiment le terme qui conviendrait le mieux au sujet de ce jeu, que ce soit le système de combat, que ce soit les dialogues, le déroulement, c'est rigide. Ça veut pas dire que c'est pas bien, hein. Je trouve le jeu intriguant, les combats sont fun, mais parce que voilà, la masse fait tous les versus, comme on dit. Elle a le match-up sur tout le monde. Mais ça reste sympa, il y a une super ambiance en tout cas. Le jeu est bien doublé. Et bon bah c'est déjà pas mal. Hein. C'est pas un grand jeu, mais c'est un jeu sympa. En tout cas j'ai hâte de découvrir la suite. J'espère que, que YouTube aussi tu as envie de voir la suite. Et puis on se dit à la prochaine fois. Ciao.